Welcome, everyone. As you can see, we got a guest here today. It's James at Fish Room Fever. And
How's it going, buddy?
Yeah, how's it going, man? We're going to talk about fish that we want to get next year for probably like a minute and then get off topic. But
Absolutely.
give everyone a minute to show up here. And I'm going to tell my most disgusting fish story ever that just happened today, as a matter of fact. So I still use pythons. I don't know if that's how you do your water changes still.
It is.
Yep. And so I've got, the fish room in the garage and one in the house, and I use the same python going back and forth. Well, I happen to be in the one in the house, which has carpet, and I got a new dog, and he hasn't quite learned where to go number two.
Right.
And so, like, the python was kind of coiled up, like the extra, and that's where he decided to go. And I didn't notice it, and so I'm walking around my room filling up tanks, smearing it all along the carpet as I pull the.
Oh my goodness!
And after a couple minutes, I smelled it, and then I was like, ah, and then I saw it, and I was like, ah. So that's what I've been doing today: is shampooing my carpets.
Oh man, how's that coming out? Is it coming out?
Oh yeah. So luckily, it wasn't like super runny or anything. I mean, I don't want to get into too much detail, but
Right. Yeah, that was the picture that first hit my head, though, was just liquid smear, and I was like, oh, on pure white carpet. That was the image in my head.
Oh man, it was so funny. He got me pretty good. Stupid dog.
Man.
But other than that, the new dogs, there's been one scuffle and that's it, and only one accident. So yeah, I don't know what happened. He's been going outside ever since I got him, except for today.
Well, that's awesome that he's getting along well, and hopefully that's the last time that happens to you.
Yeah, we'll see. Probably not. All right, for 2021, I want. What do you want?
I want. So.
I didn't give you any time to think about this really either.
You didn't, but I'm a good guest, and I looked at the stream topic ahead of time. I have two answers for you. I have the answer that I would like to give and the answer that's kind of more within your parameters. What I want in terms of new fish is actually my zebra plecos and my snowball plecos and things like that to breed out. I know that's not really what you're meaning so much.
Well, not really, because my answer is very similar.
Is it? Okay. If I had to go with new fish in terms of what I would like, wish list of things to buy in 2021 would be some new strains of endlers and guppies, kind of expand the collection. My name is James, by the way. Somebody was asking who the guest name was.
Oh, yeah. So we got a lot of new people coming over from Aquarium Co-op right now. I'm assuming that's what the dog hair hashtag is for.
Yeah.
So welcome all new people. This is James. This is kind of a last-minute guest. We had KG Tropicals on Saturday. It's always fun to have a guest, so I decided to have ask James, and he was kind enough. We got Chattanooga Ed with the $1 super chat, and also Mr. Furlow's Aquatic before the stream started with the $1 super chat.
Absolutely.
Dog hair makes my throat itch. That's weird.
Well, I do want to say I do appreciate you having me on.
Yeah, and congratulations on you just hit 2,000 subscribers not too long ago, so that's pretty awesome.
Absolutely. Yep, I hit a little over 2,100 now, which was not the expectation to hit by the end of 2020, but super stoked. I've got people like you coming on as a guest, and KG Tropicals doing the send over on Thursday nights. I stream after John and Lisa, so that's been a phenomenal help as well.
Yeah, I know. Wasn't the goal 2,000, and he just shot right by it?
Yeah. So initially, the goal has fluctuated because things have happened, and health situation, and flexibility. So at one point, growth was like phenomenal, and so the goal was really high, and then it died down, and so the goal kind of dropped. The reasonable goal dropped, and then it bounced back up. So yeah, 2,000 is awesome. I'm honored and privileged and very appreciative of all my subscribers and members.
All right, so I told you my answer is very similar. Obviously, I'm going to be looking for new strains of rainbows. That should go without saying. Yeah. But I also want to, so specifically what rainbows I'm looking for are the Parkinsoni. I want to find a really good strain of those. And then, I'm building out the new fish room to breed, but it's going to have less tanks and focus more on breeding in the new fish room. So that's what I'm really looking forward to. And as far as like new fish, my Parasiprochromis blue neons. I lost all the males, just died one day. So
Any idea why?
No idea why. The same thing happened to my male Epistos. Males died. And so that's going to forever be a mystery. So new fish would be male Parasiprochromis. And then I also want to get back into shell dwellers, although I haven't picked out a specific type yet. So looking for suggestions. And we got everyone dropping $5 super chats, apparently. Mike's Aquatics with the $1 super chat. Thank you. John with the $5. James with the $5. Fish Tank Barn with the $5 super chat. Camping Fund. Next year, some more rainbow fish. Coulee Catfish. And some Plecos. Yes, and that's the other thing I'm going to start breeding next year is Corydoras.
Oh, nice. So the Plecos made me think about it. That is one fish that I would like to add, would be the leopard frog Pleco.
That'd be a good one to find. They're going up in price a lot.
Well, I had started with this venture of breeding out Bristlenose, and then the goal was to make enough off of those to purchase snowballs and then leopard frogs up into zebras, et cetera, and make kind of like a series out of it. But I'm still working on that. I've got the zebras, long story short, but I kind of skipped the leopard frogs is the one thing I don't have in that scenario, so I'd love to have those.
Paul Sotero says, I'm thinking about trout goodies. And one of the reasons I like doing these type of topics is it gives me ideas as well. I already have trout goodies, so and they're finally breeding, which is awesome. But that's an awesome fish that I think should be more involved in the hobby.
Absolutely.
Oh my gosh, Regina Phalanges with the $5 Rainbow Fish Fund. Thank you. And Furloughs Aquatics with the $15 super chat for the shelter drive. This is the last week. So yeah, I'm going to be turning everything in on Thursday. So at this point, if you did something on the wish list, I don't know if it would be here in time. But you can still do PayPal at steenfotaquatics@gmail.com or super chat. But like way less gets taken out of PayPal. So it's up to you. I appreciate it. We've got so much stuff now that in my spare room is almost full. And yesterday I did a big pickup at Petco, so my Jeep is full. And it was all, yesterday was all small animals like rabbit, guinea pig. So I've got like alfalfa hay, like bays of just all kinds of stuff in my Jeep, and it smells like a farm, but it's pretty awesome.
That's great. I'm glad that things are going well for you. Ethan W says these guys have great hats. Huge shout out and thank you to Corey and the Aquarium Co-op team because they actually sent me out this hat and shirt. Hashtag not sponsored, but I appreciate the goodies very, very much.
Yeah, I don't know if they do like official sponsorships. Maybe, I don't know.
Yeah. I always like to clarify that. I got kind of reamed in an email. Somebody's like, you need to put on there that you're sponsored, and it was for my big unboxing video. And so I just emailed them back real politely, and I was like, well, I'm not sponsored. I mentioned in the video that I purchased the items, and they're like, oh, well, it seems like you're sponsored. I'm like, I'm not. So
those are the
really clear now.
Yeah, those are the comments and emails that really make me snarky with my returns or with my replies. And I'm usually like in the video I put out on Sunday, it was basically we went on an Aquarium Co-op shopping spree, and in there I said we're buying this stuff. We're not sponsored or anything like that. And then someone's like, oh, you just get all that for free. And I'm like, if you would actually watch the video instead of just skipping through it. Oh, man. People always got to find something to hate about. $5 from Kelly. We're the party poppers. I thought that was like the prerequisite to be on my stream.
You didn't mention the party poppers.
Oh, did I not?
It's coming out of your budget, buddy.
And my marketing budget is all of $3 a year, so.
Well, then you got about 18 of these.
Kelly Foreman with the $5 super chat says, for the shelter cats, dog hair liked the camping trip. Yeah, this next camping trip, I'm bringing my Doberman, so that should be interesting. All right, so I'm looking for suggestions here. I know I kind of ranted and went through a lot of them. I saw some suggestions at the beginning.
real quick, I'm going to take a question. Brienne would like to know if you have stickers, Steenfott Aquatics. She's a real big Fish Fam sticker person. I just sent her some out today.
I do not officially have stickers. Sometimes when people buy fish, and there's a long time ago, Jadron Aquatics sent me like 2,000 stickers or some insane amount. And every once in a while, I still find one hanging around. So sometimes I throw them in the boxes when I find a stash of them. But otherwise, no like official sticker, unfortunately.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I wish. I don't know. I'm not much of a sticker person myself, so it's not something that I think about often getting, I guess.
Right, I can understand that. I didn't really think about it until I noticed other people had it. I was like, that's a good idea. That's also a neat way in person when people are like, oh, we're talking about fish. You have a channel. I'm like, here's a sticker. People love stickers, so.
Yep, I know. Like Co-op is doing a lot of stickers now, but as far as I just have one sticker with my logo on it, and I don't know. If I looked around, I'd probably find someone hanging out somewhere. But more stuff I'm getting next year. We're going to get more turtles. I don't know if you're an amphibian reptile type of person, but
I have 2 red ear sliders. I'm typically not so much, but I have a friend that she's going through some personal issues and was no longer going to be able to take care of them. And she's like, please just come pick up the turtles in the tank and everything. And either give them a good home or find them a good home. So I currently have 2 turtles, and the kids love turtles. I've got 2 little boys. So I think the turtles are here to stay.
Yeah, they're, let's see. I don't even know how many turtles I'm up to. Maybe 6 or 7. 2 different species, and then I want to get just only one more species next year, but we'll see how that goes. And I'm planning on doing more like terrarium, paludarium type stuff, so should be kind of fun.
Very cool.
$5 super chat from Collins Critter Cave says, what's the smallest goldfish? Okay, I'm not a goldfish expert. Setup that is still ethical. I always thought they were lame from bad fair experiences, but now I've come to love them. That's the case. I always thought they were lame too, and then I got one, and I was like, this is pretty cool. I think it depends on the type. Like, obviously, your fancy goldfish don't get as big as like the carps, if you want to call them that. Yeah. I don't know that I could keep. And again, are you talking about like one or a group? Man, I'd have a hard time keeping one in something smaller than a 55. Maybe a 40, but even the fancies get pretty good size. So I think 55 would be my minimum.
I can't disagree with you there. I think you could probably scoot by with the 40. Of course, I'm a huge fan of the 40 breeders, but 55 is a good tank to kind of bottom out with minimum requirements for those.
Yeah, I mean, and even if you could spare like the extra 6 inches and bump it up to a 75, then you can get like a pretty good like little group of goldfish in there, and that extra depth really helps out.
Oh yeah.
Liv says, I'm wishing for 6 clown killies and a pair of oh man, I can't pronounce that one. Persephone. I've heard Dan's Fish pronounce that a million times and I still can't do it. But yeah, clown killies are like a must-have. They're super awesome. I do currently I have clown killifish and, oh man, I'm drawing a blank. The lamp-eye killifish, Norman's lamp-eye killifish.
Nice.
I finally got my school of those. The wholesaler finally got some in, so I did the minimum order just to get those fish.
No blame.
Yeah. So I'm pretty excited. I still have them in a quarantine tank though, because I'm still setting up my fish rooms, but eventually.
It's a process. It really is.
Yeah, and people are gonna be like, "You're stupid," but I'm still like not doing auto water changes. I'm still gonna do it manually, so it should be fun.
I enjoy the keeping in touch aspect of the manual changes personally.
Yeah, and I feel like if I had auto water changes, it would just give me an excuse to be lazy. I realize it would free up more time to do so much stuff, but at the same time, I'd be like, well, maybe I can just go camping for one more day this week. I got auto water changes. But I like to do the manual, especially in tanks that I sell out of, so I can get in there and see them all the time.
Absolutely.
Hey, buddy. Multi-Hijacker with a $10 super chat says, here you go, Bob. To waste my time at work every weekend for the next month and a half, so I'm not going to use it. If 2021 I can have more than one tank, you would love, or I would love, a Congo spotted puffer. So I was watching a, I should probably ask Dean, because he said he was rehoming his puffers, which I thought was crazy. I'm pretty sure I heard him say that in a video recently. But if he's rehoming them, I want some.
They are a nice fish. I don't have any puffers currently, and I haven't. The last puffer I had was a saltwater tank about a decade ago. But it's one of those, one of these days down the road, things get set up and settled down. I would like to get into puffers again.
That would be... I'm just thinking about like breeding puffers. Like, I don't even know if I'd want to try that. It'd be fun. And I would try it with the hairy puffer, if any puffer, which would be way out of my wheelhouse. I mean, I'm not even close enough of a good enough breeder to do those guys, but I would still try them.
Right.
Someone said, I need a colony of ropefish with a trio of African butterfly fish. That's Amphibious Aquatics. I have this new bad habit of saying, someone says, because I just read the comments. Yeah, because I'm reading the comments more than the names, and I don't know why I started doing that, but man, it's terrible. So I apologize. But there you go. Amphibious Aquatics, ropefish, and African butterfly fish. I've had a lot of people ask me about African butterfly fish lately. I don't know if someone did a video on them, so they're real popular right now or what, but yeah, I'm getting a lot. Just picked up a nice school of lamp-eye jollies this weekend. I'm not sure I know what that is. You ever heard of that?
I have not. I see what the not really an issue is, but to briefly break your concentration, because people are asking, who is this guy? Who is this guy? You didn't do like, if I was KG Tropicals, you'd have KG Tropicals above my head. You didn't give me a logo, so people are like, what's this goofy bearded guy doing on here, and who the heck is he?
Yeah, because Fish Room Fever is really long. Steenfott Aquatics is really long. And then if I just put like FRF, people are like, what does that mean?
Yeah, I get it. I got to give you a hard time though. That would be me if I did.
Yeah. Plus, I like seeing even though you can't see much of this tank, I still like seeing it. And I did rewatch the stream with John, and I was like, it's just too much on the stream, because he just has like black in his borders, and even that was better, I think. But I like seeing the substrate now and the plants on top, and every once in a while a fish swim by.
There you go.
Chevy Fish says Parasiprochromis, phonetically for some reason. Thanks. Bob, he's selling them on Airstone. Who? What? Where? Why are the pre-made American tanks so shallow? EU and Asian companies offer way more depth. Are they shallow? I mean, a 40 is 18 inches. A 55 is like 20. I wouldn't want them deep. Then you just need more lighting.
I'm not a huge fan of the deep skinny tanks. The only time I like a deep tank is if we're talking, big 220, 240 and up. Otherwise, I've got a 45-ish tall, and it's 2 foot tall, and it's really annoying trying to light that thing, as you mentioned.
Yeah.
Plus getting in to scape it and, gravel vacuuming, if you're going to do that, you're going all the way in there.
I just saw here we go. Nick says, I'm going to move to a different company just so I can keep Channa Barca, which I think is snakehead, but I might be wrong.
Yeah, Channa should be a snakehead.
Yeah, that's what I thought. Yep, he said it in the video where they did the double island scape. Yeah, talking about Dean rehoming them. But I know when I was at his fish room, he had them in a different tank as well. So I don't know if he's got two groups and he's just getting rid of one. I don't know. I could just send him a message and easily find out, but... Rach says, how many times did you do your puffs in quarantine? Only once, but I leave them in for quarantine for at least a month. I know with my Mabu puffer, like once a year, I'll just treat the whole tank, and but other than that, I don't like specifically quarantine unless they're brand new.
Right.
Because they are, they do get worms and things like that. So
it happens.
Yep. Geek Boy says, having to put on a mask and a snorkel to get to the bottom of a small tank. No thanks. Of a tall tank. Now, There is a point though where if it's tall enough and big enough, then that would be cool putting on a snorkel. But yeah, like what is like the 180 tall? That's way too deep. It's just annoying. Yeah, and the 120 is 2 feet deep, 2 by 2 by 4.
That's my 220 is 2 foot by 6 foot, and then tall it's 30 or 31 inches, and it's not fun to get to the bottom of.
Yeah, I'm replacing my 240 with a 300, and that one's way taller, so that'll be interesting as well. Yeah. But you know what? I'm pretty tall, so it's not too bad, but depending on how high I build the stand, really.
Right, and that's why I'm thinking I'm going to go with the shorter stand for that 220 gallon, because I've had it on a taller stand before, and that was just horrible. You got to get on the step stool, and it's not fun. And I'm not a taller guy. I'm 5'9", so.
You seem taller on video, maybe because like
I do.
Your camera's like zoomed in more than mine, so you look way bigger than me.
I do, but it's funny. Like the first time I met Bob Kaler, because we all have our, our pre-notions of people before we meet them. First time I met Bob Kaler and Chattanooga Ed, I did not expect them both to be much taller than I am. So it's kind of funny. I tend to
see. I thought you would be taller than Ed. That's weird.
No, nope. I'm a little guy.
What do we got here? Oh yeah, Reach says when Jimmy was swimming in the 800. Yeah, that was pretty funny. So I could deal with an 800 gallon tank. Like, yeah, it's 4 feet tall, 800 gallons. Okay, I'll make the sacrifice. Bob Kaler with the $1 super chat. What's up, buddy? Good to see you. And yep, just talking about you, as a matter of fact.
So John Bedker has got some awesome goals here. It says 2021 goals: number 1, 1,000-gallon indoor pond; number 2, first saltwater tank; and number 3, 100 zebra Pleco babies.
Wow,
that sounds awesome.
I would think. What do you think would be harder, the 1,000-gallon indoor pond or 100 zebra Pleco babies?
Well, if you have already gotten the zebras to where they're spawning, and you've got that kind of down pat, so to speak, it's just a matter of numbers at that point. Do you have the pairs to make that many babies? How often are they spawning for you? Are you getting 8 or are you getting 15 out of a clutch? 1,000-gallon indoor pond is really not hard, depending upon, once again, how you build it. If you're going with, plywood and a viewing panel, that's a pretty simple task, assuming that you're decent with woodworking and you know what you're trying to do.
Regina Phalange says everyone's taller than me. Yeah, 1,000-gallon, I mean, man, that would be pretty rough for me, at least to find a spot for it. I don't know about building it, but even finding the spot.
Yeah, that would be my problem. Well, and the floor couldn't support it. I had plans to do a couple of builds in a previous home that had a concrete foundation basement. That obviously didn't work out. I'm not at that house anymore. And here I cannot put something that large.
Even though you probably got 1,000 gallons sitting behind you.
I do. I've got a couple thousand gallons set up. For anybody, and I'm sure there are quite a few, but for the people that don't know, I'm actually in a mobile home, single wide, no less, with 60 plus tanks. So space is one of those things. It's an obstacle I've definitely learned to overcome, along with structural integrity and things of that nature.
All right. Christine sounds like my kind of person. She says, my 2021 wish list is all the Rams and all the rainbows. Yes. I think finding some good quality Bolivian Rams will also be on my list. And I want to spawn those again too. Curtis says, I'm 6'3", being tall sucks. You hit your head a lot. No, I would much rather be able to reach stuff. I got a big head, so I can take some knocks to it every once in a while.
I had a buddy. Oh, go ahead.
James says, 1 mobile home, 60 tanks. You're a master of the spaces.
Thank you. I had a friend that was 6'6". He was actually an employee when we did appliance delivery, and he'd give me a hard time for being short. So I always laughed when he'd bang his head on door frames and things and going up and down stairs. So
it happens.
Yeah.
But it's worth it.
Yeah.
People, people when they see, like you're talking about when people see you, when they see me, they either say, "Oh, you're way bigger than I thought," or "You're not as big as I thought." Because I'm really, like, everyone says I'm like tall, but I'm not really that tall. So it goes either way. Like
Absolutely.
Like some people just think I'm like 7 feet tall. Yeah, I don't know why. That guy? Someone says it's the popper guy.
Yeah, and then somebody else said, "Can someone please tell me who that guy is on the right?"
It's I think Trish said that at some point.
Yeah, Trish said the party popper guy. Yep.
Rach says I'm a cichlid and puffer girl forever.
Nice.
All right. I'm with Regina Phalange. Everyone is taller. You're both short. All right. Apparently, we want to talk about height right now.
Absolutely. You knew it was going to segue off multiple times.
Oh, yeah, for sure. That's how we do it around here.
Nature of the beast.
I'm trying to think. I had like this whole list, and I was like, oh, I should write it down. But I got too busy. I've been doing good about writing stuff down lately for the stream, but it was a crazy busy weekend. It's going to be a short week because we're going camping, and got a lot of stuff to do. Fish Room Fever, Candy linking your channel. Yep, that's him.
Thank you, Candy. As always, I appreciate everything Candy does.
Patty says I'm going to get me a fish trailer. Now, I've thought about something similar, but with the cargo containers. Because you can buy like a 40-foot cargo container for a couple $1,000s. And I just imagine like the whole thing just lined on both sides with 40 breeders. Like 40, that'd be like 80 feet of 40 breeders.
That'd be nice.
That's like a lifetime goal.
I've got something similar. So I own this trailer, but I don't own the property. I'm in a mobile home park. So the goal is to get a piece of property that I can build. Basically, the pole barn, I guess, would be the best way to put it. The aluminum siding and whatnot. Build that out into a nice, awesome fish place, and then there's move this right there and step right out the door, and you got this awesome warehouse right outside and all these fish, and she'd probably never get me back in the house at that point.
That would be the house.
Yeah.
Amphibious Aquatic says, I need more amphibians and newts, which are super awesome. I love mine. Pipa species, preferably Pipa parva. If you don't know what those are the crazy looking frogs that carry their eggs like in the skin of their back.
Yep, absolutely.
Super awesome frog. He says he has 8 species of newts, African clod and dwarf, tons of salamanders, pipa, which is again that same type, and oxalotls. That's a lot. Double stack them tanks, and it's 106. Oh yeah, it would be 80 feet of rows, definitely at least. I don't know if you could get 3 tall, but definitely at least 2 tall. Fish Tank Barn says, I think about putting tanks in cargo containers when I saw Corey's cargo containers at his new place. I know. They're cheap too, man. They're not, at least, I mean, I'm like 20 miles from a major port, so for me, they're cheap. I don't know, like shipping them inland would be cheap. Probably not cheap, I should say.
Probably not.
Jenny Lynn says, I want a milk frog. Nothing fancy. Well, those are certainly cool. I think they're kind of fancy. They look fancy. Just because they're not $1 million doesn't mean the animals are not fancy. Put it that way.
Absolutely.
Patty says, I got a couple acres in upstate somewhere. Trailer living, here I come. I'm gonna say, when I think of upstate, I always think of people saying upstate New York. Upstate New York.
Yeah.
Where's the best place to get pure strain guppies? I really love Twin Cities Guppies. Kang Lee is his name. Sometimes you'll see him here in chat. He's a moderator here. He's sold out a lot, but most private breeder / resellers are sold out a lot, as I've learned.
Yes.
When I first started my website, you can go back and you can see it on live stream. I'm like, I hate these people that are always sold out all the time. I'm never going to be that way. And then I've been sold out like all year long.
It happens.
But not being able to import and ship because of COVID kind of put a damper on things this year.
Absolutely.
But that's all right. My Home Aquarium 98 says, my 2021 goals are to set my first summer pond for guppies and try out breeding apistos. Also debating getting a flower horn. Well, you had me until the flower horn. Summer ponds are amazing. You definitely should do it. I'll probably go crazy next year. I hope we have a better summer than we had this year as far as weather-wise, but it's so much fun. And all my plants, surprisingly, the water's been frozen over a couple times, and all the plants are still growing out there. It's pretty awesome.
If I may, I have two pieces of, I guess, advice, or two people to look into for guppies.
Yeah, absolutely.
That would be LRB Aquatics and Doug Gray, or D Gray is the name of his channel. Both of them awesome guppies.
So I haven't been to Lucas's site in a while. And I know he was doing really well with endlers, which I guess guppies, endlers, same thing. But
yep.
I'm going to look at it right now. LR Bryce.
I've not been on the website recently. I know last time I was at his house, it's almost overwhelming how many different things he has. In a good way, though, because it's all very neat and organized. I mean, the man's got carpeting in all of his fish rooms, for crying out loud. How could it not be neat and organized? But just the variety he has, it's really hard to take it all in from an outsider's perspective, just looking at everything going, I know I've missed stuff that he has that I've still not seen, even being there a couple times.
Oh yeah, he has what, 4 fish rooms?
Pretty much, yeah.
And his outdoor tubs of rainbow fish?
Yeah.
So I've only been to his house once, and I fell asleep.
So I heard about that.
Yeah, it was after the aquatic experience, and we drove. The aquatic experience ended at 10 by the time all the after stuff was over, and then we jumped in the van and drove another 2 to 3 hours to his house, filmed, and then drove back for the next day. And yeah, I did fall asleep. Hey, what are you chewing on, buddy? Oh, you can't chew on that.
So Hub City Tanks is asking, what kind of glass does Petco use excuse me, for their aquariums? Also, are you able to drill them? That varies, and not just by size. I can't tell you the 10s are fine, the 20s are not. That can vary by run of the tanks, I found, because I've actually called them and talked to them. And the best thing to do, honestly, is just check before you drill that specific tank that you want to drill. And I've checked them in the store before I purchased them to make sure that I could drill them beforehand.
So how do you check them?
So I check them with a polarized set of sunglasses, technically like the sunglasses clips that go on these, and then a white phone screen behind it. So you can just pull up white on your phone screen and you put it inside the tank and you can look through there and you can see some different designs. I recommend you go watch a video and not just go based off of me telling you how to do it. So you can see what you're looking for. But you can definitely tell once you know the trick to doing it, whether or not they are tempered glass or they are drillable.
Man,
try to drill.
That's the hard way. Holy smokes, the hard way. You want to know the easy way?
What's the easy way?
You take your drill in there and you start drilling.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I've only been
shatters. Nope.
Goes for that.
I don't want this one. Usually on 20s. Now this is a general rule of thumb. They get in different brands too. Lately it's been Aqueon, sometimes it's Tetra, which they're probably from the same manufacturer. But usually you never drill the bottom plane. That one's always going to shatter no matter the size. But usually anything 20 and higher is okay. And I've even had people drill 10-gallon. So
I've drilled a couple other 10 gallons.
Yeah. So you're usually pretty okay, but again, test it. Is me, I would just go spend $20 on a 20-gallon and drill it. If it shatters, it shatters. But I like to waste money, so.
Yeah. Well, you can make a video out of it. People love to watch tanks popping.
That's certainly true. And then you can clickbait it and fake that all your fish died. Like some people. Anyways.
No, I've already got, if I was going to go down that route, I've got a couple of phenomenal ideas that I know would be million-view videos, but I'm not going to go that route.
So,
and I'm not going to say them because I'm not letting other people have those ideas.
Quirky Lemon says, tips for keeping fish with a very low budget. I think it depends on what you want out of the hobby. Like, obviously, you can dollar per gallon sale, buy a 10 gallon tank. You can, go to a lot of pet stores have sales on fish where they're like $1 each. You can buy some guppies. You can breed them out and sell them back to the local fish store. But, if that's not your thing, then... but as far as, like, getting the best deals, OfferUp, Facebook Marketplace, and Craigslist is where you find the deals. And I was never a big fan of OfferUp until Danny kind of turned me on to it. And, like, you can set up notifications. So if somebody listens to an aquarium, it'll just beep at your phone. And, so that's worked out pretty well.
I got in trouble doing that. I had to quit because tanks were just piling up.
Yes. Once you get good at it, you'll start amassing a lot of tanks really, really fast. Like,
I have turned... I'm sorry. I didn't mean to cut you off.
No, it's... Yeah. And at one point, I was even, like, just picking up free tanks and reselling them and making money doing that.
Yeah, I've turned down a couple free tanks just because I'm like, I don't need that and I don't feel like driving out there. I've got nowhere to put it.
Yep. That's when you know you have a lot of tanks.
Yes.
Tempered glass looks like your back car window if you want an example. Fish Tank Barn. What's up, buddy? Mickum. So what I have now is a 10-gallon tote with a battery-powered air stone and about 10 heat packs and taped to zipped baggies in the hood. I have no idea what's going on here. That sounds interesting. I don't know what kind of contraption that is.
That sounds like a power outage crisis management setup.
I don't know. Sean? Sorry, man. Butchering your name.
Someone said.
Yeah. Says, I wish for meds to be back allowed back in Canada next. Yeah, right. That's never going to happen. People never learn. Once they take something away, you never get it back. My wish list this year would be probably an RO system and a linear air pump. Those are game changers for sure.
They are. Yes. I've got the co-op pump, and I love that. Love it. I don't know how I went so long without it. The first, when I went to Lucas's house, he had those Tetra Air Whisper pumps, like one on every single tank, and I'm like, dude, what are you doing? Like, and he swore by him. He's like, no. But then now he's upgraded. He finally saw the light. Yep.
Oh, he's moving 16 hours. All right.
Gotcha.
Honestly, as long as they're inside your car, you're probably just fine. So a lot of people, I think, like, they overthink moving with their fish, and it's always like this big stressful ordeal. But you got to remember, these fish come from like overseas where they're in bags for days, if not a week. Then they go to the wholesaler, then they get rebagged, and then they're shipped again for a couple days in the bag. So, like, a 16-hour trip really is nothing to that fish. So as long as you keep it warm, that's really all that matters.
It's not, and even mine may be overkill with the oxygenation, but my favorite setup is I've got 5-gallon buckets with lids, and I've drilled a hole in the center, and I've got co-op air pumps. And so I just have my portable battery packs, and I take those with me, like when we went down to Florida to meet another YouTuber and do some wild fish collecting. Took those down there, fish in the bucket, plug in the co-op pump, and they're aerated all the way home.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So I honestly, I wouldn't even worry about air.
Yeah.
I mean, obviously, if you can do it, do it. But, I mean, like when we go to the aquatic experience, I mean, people are flying home with fish in bags, and yeah, it's not that big of a deal. Just don't overstress it, I guess, is what I'm trying to say.
Right.
Steenfott Aquatics, how do you figure out stocking on tanks? Inch per gallon is one I hear that I never use. That's terrible. But others seem to say that's wrong. It's totally wrong. Inch per gallon. I mean, you can't have a 10-inch fish in a 10-gallon tank, right? So that's definitely not a good rule.
4-foot arowana in a 55-gallon tank.
Yeah, it's just, no. It really depends on the fish. So a lot of the fish I do outside of rainbow fish are smaller. And you can just have large schools of them. And if it was $1 per gallon, that's not happening. Or an inch per gallon. So as far as how I figure out stocking. One thing I think about is how much maintenance do I want to do? Because if I stock that thing full, I'm going to be doing water changes. When I had my breeding fish for profit tank and I had guppies, shrimp, and bristlenose plecos, just breeding like crazy, I was doing water changes every other day. And, you set up a nice planet tank with maybe a school of, small school of fish, maybe some shrimp. I mean, you could do like one water change a month. So that's usually what I go by. It really just depends on how much maintenance I want to do.
Absolutely. Now, to play devil's advocate for a second, I do feel that the 1 inch per gallon works if you apply it the way I feel it was meant to be applied, such as if you've got a 20-gallon tank, it's safe to house 10 2-inch tetras in it. Something along those lines.
Yeah.
As a starter rule. I think that we like to pick on that rule and take it to the extreme out of context. And of course, being in the hobby, we're quite familiar with how we can stock our tanks above and beyond that. But I think the origin of it and the premise that it's built on to keep beginner hobbyists from overstocking, I think is true. But I don't think it's really even known to be perceived as that's the actual rule when they say 1 inch per gallon. We hear it, and you and I both go to 48-inch fish in a 48-inch tank, and or in a 40-gallon and that type of stuff. So
yeah, it's one of those. It's one of those things where like there's always going to be outliers, but in this rule, I feel like there's not just a little, there's a lot. So definitely, that's not something that I would tell beginners, because I think that's going to hurt a beginner fish keeper way more than it helps them.
Absolutely. Well, and my advice is always per individual. I don't like to give broad stroke because, as you and I both know, every tank is different, let alone every person's, setup. So I'd much rather go, well, what plants do you have? What are you looking for? And kind of give guidelines based off of the fish they would like and what's kind of acceptable to go in there, or what would be safe for a beginner hobbyist.
So I'm going to say someone, because I read these comments while you're talking, and then and then the chat scrolls down. So I apologize, but someone said, where do they suggest getting... Oh, here we go, right here. Levi's Outdoor and Aquatics. Where's the best place to get jars for mini aquariums for shrimp, snails, and Java moss? And I'm going to tell you that Danny and I did a video about going to the dollar store, Goodwill, secondhand stores. By far the best place to get that kind of stuff.
Totally agree.
Check out that video. It's... I want to say it's only like 4 or 5 videos ago. What are you chewing on? Jeez.
We've got this guy in here. This KG Tropical says, how many Oscars can I put in a 360-gallon? Please reply, I'm your biggest fan.
That guy. I don't know what to do with that guy.
I don't know.
Well, how many inches is it? And then I can tell you how many Oscars. Rage with the $2 super chat, the microphone super chat. Thank you, Rage. I appreciate it. I hope that doesn't mean that there's something wrong with my mic. Oh, see, I thought I put this on silent and I didn't. Oh, that was my alarm. I don't know why I have an alarm for that time, but. All right. What do you guys think about biocenosis filter? I hope you know what that is, because I don't have a clue.
I do not.
Right.
I was not brought on here to be an expert.
Yeah, and I'm certainly not an expert. But I want to Google it because now I'm curious.
I'm guessing at the spelling because I can't find it, but...
I mean, there's some videos of it, but... Cold water and warm water biofilter. I feel like someone's just asking that just to stump us.
Absolutely.
All the videos are like in labs and stuff. Like scientific labs. KG Cichlids with the $1 super chat. And Mary Page Flynn with the $1 super chat. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Steenfott says 0 Oscars. Yep. 96 inches. That means you can have one 96-inch Oscar. Or 96 baby Oscars. How about that?
Yeah, absolutely.
How do I breed out my guppies and keep the same parents? I'm not sure what that means. How do I breed out my guppies and keep the same parents?
So if you're not wanting the second and third and other generations to intermingle with the parents, you'd have to pull them. That's
Maybe, yeah. So I guess once you see your female is gravid, you can pull her into her own tank, and she'll poop out the fry, and then you can move her back to the original tank. Remind everyone about your Christmas drive. Today is the last day. We talked about it earlier, and I think the link has gone up. Maybe not. But yeah, we did talk about that earlier. Matthew Vargas is here. Yo, what up, Bob? Been busy with work. Look to become a regular on the streams again after the new year. Always catching the replays. All right. The Lion's Den with the $3 super chat says, just for making me waste money on aquarium stuff. Is it really a waste, though? Like,
no.
I've spent money on stuff probably like 3 years ago that's still brand new in a box. I haven't even taken it out yet. But I still don't feel like it was a waste. Because it's like one of those Amazon deals where something was marked like 90% off. Like those the Marina hang-on boxes that go on sale for like $2. Like every single time. So I've got like 9 boxes, and each box has like 3 because you're only allowed to buy 3. So I've got like this stack of boxes, and I'm like, what am I ever gonna do with these? I don't know, but how can you not buy them for $2? Like,
absolutely.
So I'm technically wasting my money, I guess, but I don't really feel like I am.
Oh, you just sell them to me at the cost that you got into them. I'll take care of that for you, buddy.
And you know, the thing is like, well, I could resell these, but they're pretty big, and I don't want to reship them. And then like, someone will buy it, and then they'll buy fish as well, and I don't want to ship something that large in a box with fish. And I'm like, whatever. I'll just throw them in a corner, maybe someday. Chevy Fish linking my top 10 thrift store. There you go. Oh yeah, we did. So we did a thrift store and a Goodwill. Yeah, so we did 2 videos on it. Yeah, that's right. And one got like 50,000 views, and one got like 1,000 views. It's crazy.
That's the way it works.
I know. Lisa KG Tropicals, hello. KG Cichlid says, my leg fell asleep sitting on the toilet. That is a sign of a serious problem that you should probably get checked out. And Rach with the $10 super chat. Thank you. I don't know if that was for me or the shelter, but it'll go to the shelter either way. Aquariums are so expensive.
Yes.
Yeah. Yep. And it's one of those hobbies where you look at it and you're like, oh, this 10-gallon aquarium is only $10. Oh, the pump is only filter is only $14. Yeah. Oh, I can buy this light for $15. And it was like, these onlys are like $1,000 later. Only.
Especially when it multiplies out exponentially in the multiple fish rooms. Like, oh, that's cheap, but I need 67 of those.
Exactly. Christine with the $10 super chat says, friend has a 40 for 3 months and can't cycle, and all the fish die, asking me to help. I live below him. I have 16 tanks that cycle fast. What could he be doing wrong? Honestly, if you're right below him, I don't know if you have like a spare sponge filter that you could pull out and just let him borrow that for a month. It'll almost instant cycle his tank. Getting the tank to cycle is a patient process, and I feel like a lot of people don't just sit back and let it happen. And I think that's what they need to do. Or I think they see things and they see the ammonia spike and they're like, oh, I got to do water changes, and then it just resets the cycle. So...
Right, and also I think people tend to rush into it, especially when they get into like a pre-cycled sponge filter. They think, oh, I've got this sponge filter, I can just overstock this thing and be good to go. I've seen that happen before, unfortunately, where they load it up because they think it's ready, and it's not ready for that type of bio load.
Yeah, and obviously the key thing is stop buying fish when it's not cycled, for one. That would be my first advice. And now he's just going to have to play the waiting game. But if you can, like, if you have a hang-on bag, just take out some filter media and just, like, squeeze that grunge into his water. Even that'll help. But I always keep extra sponge filters in tanks just for that process. Setting up a new tank, just take that out, throw it in there, and it's good to go. Granted, you don't put it in there with 9,000 fish because it's still... So, and this is what happens, right? So we got our sponge filter. and it's in this tank that's been cycled, and there's like 2 fish in this tank, right? Well, just because that sponge filter is cycled, it's only going to have enough bacteria for that 2 fish.
Right.
So if you take that and move it to the tank with 100 fish, it's not going to be able to keep up.
Yeah, this is one of my rant topics.
Yeah, and then the other way, I guess the opposite is you take your sponge filter that's in this massively overstocked tank with 1,000 goldfish, and it's just loaded with bacteria. You move it into this 20-gallon with your new single fish or whatever. All that bacteria is going to die off and create an ammonia spike. Yep. So it's like you said, it's not just as simple as moving one over to the other. You still have to kind of like take those things into effect. Got to think about it.
My specific advice for that individual would be, if you can get them a cycled sponge filter, or even get media in there from yours, have them do that and have them let that tank run with no fish in it until they start to get nice green algae growing on the glass, and let it get seasoned, because they're so worried about getting cycled that tank's never even going to see seasoned. If you could get some live plants in there, that would be great. Let that ecosystem try and take hold before you rush into getting the fish in there. I know that could take a minute, but patience is a virtue, especially in this hobby, and we've already wasted 3 months at this point. So
yep, and not to mention all the money on fish, right?
Yeah.
So just patience. I believe it was Cody asked, what's better for algae, shrimp or autosynclus? Yes, there it is, Cody. And I don't think either are great. So I don't find either of them great for algae control. They do eat algae, but people like to go with a mono shrimp, but you really have to have a ton of a mono shrimp.
Yeah.
And it's the same thing with autosynclus, right? These are really small organisms that just don't eat a lot. So if you have a ton of algae, neither of them are going to be great. However, if it was only up those 2 options, I would go with the mono shrimp. They're just way more durable, and they constantly are just eating all day long, even though it's not that much. Christine says, $5 super chat. Thank you. I've given him my media twice. Nothing grows on his tank ever. No algae, no nothing. So I guess then my question is he using dechlorinators? Is he just pumping chlorine every water change into his tank? I'm sure it's pretty basic. You've probably covered that with him. Honestly, if it was me, I would probably just start over and just get a test kit. This is another thing that's kind of a pet peeve of mine, is people always ask this question, and I'm like, well, what does your test kit say? I don't have one. Well, why don't you have a test kit? Well, they're expensive. Yep. Well, you just spent $900 billion on fish that you killed when you could have bought a test kit. And I'm not saying about you, Mary. Obviously, you know what you're doing, but get him a test kit if he doesn't have one. Even just strips are like $10, $13, and just let it cycle. Stop doing water changes. Let it run.
I want to see if the master test kit is still on sale. It was on sale for $22 on Amazon.
Christine says, well, he is, because I told him to use. He bought the master test kit. All right.
Okay.
So I would do like a 50% water change. Mm-hmm. I would give him some of your old filter media, and then you still need to feed it. So like throw in flake food, once a day, and just let it rot in there. And eventually it will cycle. Now, if you get plants, I don't know if you have planted tanks, give them some plants to throw in there as well. Some clippings, even if it's just to like float around on the surface.
Some duckweed.
It would be help. Anything but duckweed. What else do we got? Let's go. Let it go. Let it go. I don't know what you're talking about. What? Okay. I want pike live bears, but can't find any for sale. That's going to be a hard one. I don't know that I've ever seen those on any lists. Oh, I saw a comment here.
Well, and I do want to say real quick, following that and also touching back on the person asking about guppies, this time of year is not really a great time of year to be ordering fish online. There's still a lot of places that they're available, but keep in mind you're going to pay for overnight shipping. which is not cheap.
And not guaranteed.
Yeah, and not guaranteed. So if you're looking for, and this is not necessarily pertaining to the pikes, but you're looking for maybe a $20-$30 pair of guppies, you're looking at $40-$50 in shipping potentially. So just keep that in mind.
Oh man, I had the comment highlighted and then it scrolled down.
I ruined it. I'm leaving. Okay.
No, I'll find it again. Just keep. Oh, here it is. T-Shot says, my pair of orange flash apistos spawned again. I had them for 6 months. 6 spawn. She had wigglers in the cave. Came home today. Mom was dead. Never seen them get aggressive. And I wanted to talk about this comment specifically because that is pretty typical to apistos. You could honestly have them kill the male will kill the female or vice versa after the first spawn or the 10th spawn. But I don't know what triggers it, but eventually it tends to always happen.
Yeah.
And so when I do apistos, as soon as they're wigglers, I take the male out because one of them is going to get killed. Normally it's the male. I'm surprised it was the female this time. For me, in my experience, before they hatch, it's the female that gets killed after the female turns hyper aggressive and kills the male. So I will always separate them now. But that sucks, man. That sucks. Here's a question for you from Brienne. Fish Room Fever, did you send me one of Ed's stickers today? If so, thank you. If not, how can I get some? I'm only 11, so I do not have Facebook.
Yes, I sent you and your mom some stickers, a bunch of mine because you asked for them, and then a couple of Ed's. I think they were the last 4 of Ed's that I had. But your stickers went out along with about a dozen other people's stickers, so those are in the mail and might make it before the end of the year, the way the post office is running currently.
Yeah, I've got some packages coming to me, and not holding my fingers, or not crossing my fingers. Holding.
Well, I've learned a lesson to cut off shipping and sales a little bit earlier next year, because I had to switch to overnight versus the standard priority, given the unexpected or unprecedented is what they've got on the website, delays with priority mail currently. Everything.
Mm-hmm. Yep. I blame it on the union, but I'm not going to get into that. Christine with the $5 super chat says, just in general, thank you. I appreciate it. And then Curtis says, make apistos great again. Yep. That is the goal for next year. That was supposed to be the goal for this year, and then everything shut down. So hopefully we'll be able to get some in next year. And I even got my private breeder that I buy from. I was like, I need apistos. So even he's out there looking for him, and he works with an importer. So hopefully we'll find something. Don't hold your fingers or cross your breath. Bob Vance. All right. UPS for living the dream with the $1 super chat. Thank you. I appreciate it. Eric says, setting up a new 75-gallon in the new year. What stem plants would you guys recommend? Well, I'm a huge fan of anything Rotala. They're super easy and super colorful. And then also the Pogostemum stellatus octopus.
That was going to be my suggestion. I absolutely love Pogo.
Yeah, but there's like 100 different types of Rotala, and I feel like they all look the same. They're good for the horticulturist awards program if you're in a fish club, but other than that, like I'll just buy one, and it doesn't matter which one because it'll eventually they all turn like a little purple, red, orange color, and yeah. Connor says, okay, I've been looking and can't find any driftwood. You just got to go out in the wild and look. And it's free. The Lion's Den says, candy is everywhere. That is certainly true. Here we go. Alpha Aquarium says, I bought some Montezuma Swords from Greg Sage a few years back. They never really bred in the 30 I had them in. 4 months ago, I put them in a 75 with high flow, heavily planted, and now they're exploding. Wow. That kind of makes sense. Like, that's a pretty big fish to have in a 30-gallon. I realize Greg Sage is probably breeding those in like a 2-gallon, but that's Greg Sage.
Yeah. It's one of those do as I say, not as I do type of things.
SC Aquatics with the $5 super chat says, just wanted to say, Bob, loving the second channel. Good work, bud. Thanks for having a lot of fun over there. It is Get Outdoors. We just released a new camping video today. For anyone who's not been around, we are camping every other weekend and uploading them to YouTube on our second channel.
It's awesome stuff, and I am envious.
And we increased the number of people, and I believe Corey's going to be pretty much coming every time now.
Oh, nice.
Although he's already started laying the groundwork of backing out this weekend, saying, I might have to work. Mm-hmm. It was weird seeing him without a cell phone and without working, because even when we hang out, like if we go to dinner, he's still on his phone working. If we're filming, when we're not filming, he's on his phone working. So no reception, and you just got to sit there and relax. It was kind of funny. I'm like, do you even know what to do with yourself right now?
Yeah, I'm sure that's a sight.
Serious question. Why do I drink coffee at 3 a.m.? I don't know. I've never had coffee in my life. I don't get it. I don't get the appeal.
I'm not a huge coffee person. I'll drink coffee from time to time, but the missus is a coffee drinker, and I'm like, I don't really get the I have to have my morning coffee thing. But, to each their own.
I mean, I kind of get it because I love my. So I drink these. It's called Zip Fizz, and I have to have one of those every morning. So I guess I kind of get it, but like coffee, it just, I don't know. It doesn't smell good. Like it doesn't taste good. I don't know. This is full of like vitamins and minerals, and coffee is just full of nothing except for caffeine. I don't know. Anyways, all the coffee people are going to hate me now. That's the best part of camping, is disconnecting. Yep. Curtis says, also, Bob, your hoodie in the video was fantastic. Thank you. That was a gift from my mom. Pretty awesome. Anyways. Has anyone kept Mopani driftwood and ordered from Amazon in good experience? I have never ordered hardscape online, and I don't think I ever could. I don't know if you have, but
I have not. I'm
very specific. Like when I'm out in the woods and I'm like collecting pieces, I'm just like, I'll just turn down like a lot of pieces that would be okay just to find that perfect one. And I don't want to be like, I don't want it to be up to the random Amazon person on which one they pick out of a box. And, it might be completely opposite shaped than what I had envisioned in my head.
Look at that lovely lady there.
Lisa at KG Tropicals with a $50 super chat says, for the shelter kitties, for John's money this time. All right. Well, that makes me feel better. Hero of the Hyrule says, Steenfott Aquatics, I want to breed bushy nose and apistos. Bushy nose are such a great fish to get into, especially for breeding. And I'm gonna head back to Lisa. I sent her a show on the Saturday stream. She also super chatted a pretty large amount, and I messaged her afterwards. And I was like, I hope that was John's money. So and it wasn't, but this time it is. So that makes me happy.
Right.
And thank you. Now I got to go back to Petco again, and they hate me at Petco. Well, they don't hate me. They like me. But the thing with Petco is everything is cheaper on their website than in the store. So when I went there yesterday and loaded up my Jeep, I had to sit there, and you have to scan it. So you have to take your phone, you have to scan every item and see, this is cheaper, this is cheaper, this is cheaper. And then finally the dude was like, I got to call my manager. I can't mark this stuff down this much. So that's your little tip. Get the Petco app. It'll scan the UPC. It'll tell you exactly what the online price is, and it is usually always cheaper. And like they had small animal bedding in the store was like $24, and online it was $9. So it's quite a bit. It's quite a bit you can save.
Definitely.
Mickham says, all Apisto males I've had will naturally care for the fry if kept in okay-sized tank, not disturbed by us fish keepers, but males are not often let close to the fry for this first spawn or the first week. Yeah, so when I spawn my Apistos, I'm always keeping them in 10-gallon tanks or smaller, which is why I separate them. But if they're in like a 20 long, even a 20 tall where there's, hardscape, basically just line of sight breaks, then you're pretty much all right. But I like to breed them in smaller tanks personally.
Agreed.
Thanks to all the mods who volunteer their time in this stream and others. Yep, always got to thank the mods, even though
absolutely
I require them to do nothing, but they still do stuff. So
same, yes. Yeah.
Okay, here's a good one. Dave Diaz says, "What's a good cheap light for plant growth from a hardware store?" My favorite are, if we're just talking about cheap lighting, the under cabinet or under like cardboard, or not cardboard, but anyways, there's under cabinet LED lighting at Walmart that comes in strips, and they're like $13 for like a 20-gallon tank.
Yeah.
So that's what I would recommend.
And I'm a fan of the like, you can get the 4-foot shop lights at just about all the hardware stores. And even though that they have the fluorescent looking tube, a lot of them are LED now. So I use a lot of those. I order on Amazon, but same item available in hardware stores.
Yep, so that's pretty much it. If I'm looking for something cheap. Now, Home Depot tends to be more expensive than like a Walmart.
Yeah.
Costco, when they go on sale on Costco, they're pretty cheap, but not the regular price. T-Shot says, Steenfott Aquatics, yeah, my pair were in a 20 long, heavily planted. Oh, well, man. Must have really hated her then. That's too bad, buddy. But, I mean, 6 spawns is pretty dang good, and you got a lot of fry, so it sounds like you can pair them up again. Bob Vance of Vance Refrigeration says, Candy is the worst, always overachieving.
Gosh.
Making everyone else look bad.
Yeah, she's good at it.
Yeah, I should clarify, Dave says, standard shop lights, cool. I'll see what grows. So you're not going to grow like high-tech stuff.
No, you're not using that on Buse. You
can do some medium, medium to highlight stuff, medium to low light. It's kind of iffy, but like Anubias, Crips, all your low light plants will grow just fine. Connor says, has anyone bred Cribensis in a 10-gallon? Yes. I wouldn't recommend it, but I know people that have done it. I want to find, so I have a double 125 stand that I built, and I want to find like an LED spotlight to put over, because there's 3 openings on a 125.
Right.
So on the bottom one, that's what I want to do. So I got to get online and find some type of LED.
So kind of going Kessel style with it.
Yeah, but that stuff is so overpriced. Like, I would never buy a Kessel.
Yeah. No offense to them. If they want to send me a free light, I'll take it. But I'm not paying that.
Yeah, even if they sent me a free light, I don't know that I would take it, because I would still not promote it. So I don't know.
If you really want to spend a lot of money on something that you could spend elsewhere, get the Kessel for the shimmer. They do have that shimmer though.
But I don't know. I only like taking stuff for free that I would either use or actually like promote.
Oh, I agree. They'll never send me a light, so I can safely say that.
How do you breed Pygmy Corydoras in a 10-gallon? Easily. So Pygmies or any dwarf species breed the same as any other Corydora. Now, I'm not saying that they're all easy, but most of them, most of the common species are pretty easy to breed. And if you're having trouble, then you want to time it with when it rains. So if you got like a rainstorm coming in, then you do a cold water change. Obviously, you don't put in like freezing water.
Right.
And then tons of high protein food. And they'll usually trigger them when like a storm, like something to do with the pressure.
Yeah, the barometric pressure drop.
Yeah, it'll trigger them to spawn, and you can get them to spawn for like a week straight. If you don't have that option, then you got to keep going with the cooler water changes and lots of food. So when I do it, I use live blackworms because they'll stay alive, so they won't rot your water. And I'll put in just where like the whole substrate is just covered in worms, and so they can just feed and graze and fatten up all day long. Then the next day you do a cold water change, and then they're all just swimming on the glass, like just putting eggs everywhere. Lion's Den seems Kessels seem overhyped. I feel like that's the case with a lot of expensive stuff. But yeah.
And that goes with anything in life, though. Is oftentimes you'll pay for a brand if that's what you're wanting to pay for.
Mm-hmm. Definitely. Blame it on the rain. Yep. Can't. RJL says I can't stop my Cories from breeding. Yeah, luckily here it's always raining, so yeah, it's pretty easy to spawn Corydoras here, and I can't wait to. I haven't decided. Definitely stir-bys. I'll be breeding next year. And then maybe something simple like just the peppered Corydoras. And I say that because I already have like 40 of them. So
nice.
It'd be really easy to get those to spawn. But those are only like $2 fish, and I could get overwhelmed with them pretty easily since I don't have a lot of local fish stores close to me. So that's the only thing that's kind of holding me back.
You basically are the local fish store, except there's no access to your fish.
Exactly. I do. Like, there is a local pickup option, but it's never at my house. Like, I meet people at, usually, if it's someone I've never met, then I'll meet them at the police station. And I've actually had somebody, like, just drive by, park, and then see, and then leave. So I was like, yeah, I knew you were trying. I mean, I was selling a $1,000 camera at the time, so I knew. I've never had anyone with fish at that time. Trying to pull a fast one.
Absolutely. I don't blame you. It's bringing people home is not a great idea.
Nope. Especially here, there was like 2 cases pretty recently of Craigslist deals gone wrong and people getting killed. No, thank you.
Yep. I've got kids, and it's just not a risk I'm willing to take. I've had people ask, "Hey, can I come visit your fish room?" And I don't ever mean to sound snobby about it when I say I don't know who you are, but like there are certain people, Ed's been over, and people that I know, Sean Peck, LRB, if you wanted to come over, absolutely. But somebody that, I've maybe talked to once or twice or 4 times in a stream that I don't really know is like a different story.
Well, and the other thing for me, and really for everyone, is like if somebody comes over to my house and I left some water on the cement and they slip and fall.
Yep, liability. Yep.
My business is pretty much shut down at that point. So it's too much of a risk. So like if Jimmy or Corey comes over and they'll fall and break a leg, I'll just laugh at them. But if someone random, they're going to try to sue you, especially this day and age.
Oh, yeah.
Checking in from 876 Jamaica. What's your take on Coulee Loach being some persons get them to keep their tanks clean rather than a main tank attraction? So my take is awesome fish, probably not a main attraction because they burrow a lot during the day. So, yeah.
So the biggest main attraction with Coulee Loaches is watching someone try to catch them.
Now, I have always wanted to do a tank of like hundreds of Coulee Loaches, because when I go to like a wholesaler and I see like hundreds in their tanks, it does look awesome, but again, they don't have substrate in their tanks. So would you actually see that many? Probably not.
Right.
Michael Faulkner from Faulkner's Maze says, thoughts on standalone UV sterilizers, pros and cons. So I don't use them a lot. I have one that I use as like a last ditch effort when there's just something funky going on in the tank and I can't figure it out.
Right.
That's about it. But then I know like one of the best breeders in our area, he's not here anymore. He moved out of state. So no, it's not Dean. He did it every week with his water changes. He would follow around with a UV sterilizer and run it on each tank for a couple hours, which was crazy. Oh, wow. But he was also one of the best, so maybe there's something to it. To me, it just seems like a lot of extra work that's probably not necessary.
Yeah, I've not run one since I was big in the saltwater hobby a decade ago. I don't even own one now.
Yeah, Seeple133 says, y'all Americans suing everyone for everything. So weird to me. Yeah, this country is definitely sue happy. Heather says, just got a figure 8 puffer. Pet store always says freshwater. My research says it's brackish. Help, it is brackish.
Indeed.
Definitely a brackish fish. And This is why I hate pet stores. I'm telling you. Usually it's chain stores too, and it's kind of their fault, but at the same time, the wholesalers also list them as freshwater, which is an even bigger problem. So, yeah, unfortunately, it's brackish. So, if you don't have a brackish tank, I'd take it back and tell them they're liars.
My LFS mom and pop store, they actually have a section just for brackish, and it's very clearly labeled and all sorts of warnings. And hey, these are brackish fish, and I love that they do that because, as you mentioned, it happens a lot, and mostly with chain stores where they're peddled off as freshwater.
So the Lion's Den does bring up a good point. He says, I had a horrible green water outbreak, and the only cure was a UV sterilizer. They are good at getting rid of green water, but every time I have a green water outbreak, I like it. I just leave it.
Yeah, same.
Eventually, it'll go away, but it's so good for like microorganisms. I'll usually end up scooping it out and putting it in other tanks, especially tanks with fry.
Same thing here.
Yeah, you'll never see me get rid of green water, ever. Who is this? Where did it go? I need to start highlighting these. Geek Boy says, I just learned this afternoon that I have 3 Coulee Loaches in my 90-gallon. That's always interesting. I will say I've never had like mystery fish just spontaneously appear in my tanks. I've had like stuff come in on plants, eggs that have hatched out, stuff like that. But I usually see it first because I clean my plants. What else? Anything else? I don't think so. I've had fish like Plecos that you don't see for like a year. That happens. But yeah, just randomly 3 Coulee Loaches. All right, can't complain.
I've had Coulee Loaches that I forgot were in tanks. Then I go to empty a tank out, and I'm like, oh my goodness. And oh yeah, I forgot that guy was in there. I haven't seen him in forever.
Yeah, I have a Bumblebee Catfish that the only time I see it is when I swap out substrate. And this thing I've probably had for like 5 years. And the 3 times I've swapped out substrate is the only time I've seen it. It's pretty crazy. I don't even know how it stays alive, but it's doing whatever it does in there.
Yeah.
John at KG Tropical says, okay, I just watched the camping video. I got to admit, it looked like a fun time. Yeah, when we were on Skype last week, he's like, I don't get it. I don't know how you can just go out into the woods. But it's fun, man. You got to try it. Once you try it, you'll be hooked.
Yeah, he just needs to bring some extra sunscreen for that big bald head of his.
No, you just wear hats like me.
Oh, there you go.
And, it is winter, so. I love green water and a very natural, overgrown look. That's kind of my thing, too. The jungle tanks, I can see you kind of got the jungle theme going on behind you. At least in the tanks I can see.
Oh, I love it. Every tank I try and fill out like that.
Yeah, that's how I aquascape, and I get a lot of hate for it, but I'll just throw in rocks and wood. Wherever they land, then I just throw in my plants. Rarely do I ever actually set things up specifically. It's got to be that jungle look for me. Glamping is better than camping. I don't know about that.
No, because then I just feel like I've downgraded. So I'm sitting there glamping, trying to do normal household things, get on the gaming system, and the Wi-Fi is slow, and I'm like, no, just let me go back to the house.
Yeah, it's I don't know. I don't go out there to I don't know. I go out there to be in nature, not to bring my house out in nature, I guess.
Exactly.
But I get it. I mean, it is fun, but it's not something I would do every single time.
To each their own.
Here's a question, pretty broad. Liam says, "What's the hardest fish to keep?" I'll let you go first, unless you want to think about it. I already got one in mind.
You go ahead. I want to think about it.
I'm gonna go with the pipefish, and I'm just specifically thinking about fish that are like in the hobby, that you can actually obtain, not like blobfish or things like that. But right. Yeah, I'm thinking the pipefish. Like, I've always wanted a pipefish, but then when I look up the care and the requirements and what you have to do, it's like, nah, that's way too much work.
That is a good one. I don't really know of
say Oscars.
Oscars are hard fish to keep. I mean, they're horrible fish. I don't know why anybody would like them. They're terrible. Ugh.
You got nothing, huh?
I got nothing. I really
nothing.
don't. I was gonna
gonna
say seahorses, but that's straying into, you know.
And those are actually pretty easy.
Yeah.
I mean, let's be real. They're not the easiest thing to spawn, but as far as just like keeping alive, James fish keeping is like his level is so high up that just nothing is hard for him.
Nothing is hard.
I guess that's what we're trying to say. Steenfott Aquatics, I'm using the green killing machine on my discus tanks. It runs for a couple hours, 3 days a week. I'll admit that the green killing machine is kind of neat, but it would be something that like I would have to be given for free for me to play around with it. I've seen lots of videos on it, and it looks kind of fun to play around with, but nothing that I would like spend money on personally. Rach says, I have 4 Coulee in a 40 breeder, 2 others in a 15. Even when I move them and know they're there, I still freak out because they come out of nowhere and scare me. They're very hyper too. Very hyper. Oh, Fish Tank Barn. That would have been a good person to ask. Hardest fish is the coral vor butterfly salt. Well, we don't want to talk about saltwater.
Yeah, that one, the diet for that specific fish is ridiculous.
Yeah. Freshwater. Mike, I want to hear your opinion on freshwater, just because Mike has like 100 million different species of fish. So I feel like he would know. Oh, you got
this
one.
Is not necessarily a hard fish to keep, but this is that personal fish that just doesn't work for me, and that's marble hatchet fish. I have tried with marble hatchets, and they just do not survive for me.
Yep. We all have those fish.
Yep.
It's just like that one specific fish, no matter what you do, it just dies.
All right, so I'm going to real quick give my one shameless plug of the night, because I've been answering Levi in the chat. Levi's Outdoor Aquatics was asking the name of my LFS. It is Aquatic Marine, and you can go check out. I interviewed the owner last week on a stream. He's a really cool guy, and he's a hobbyist, and he's real big on the fish community. So
I thought the name of your LFS was fishroomfever.com.
That is my own personal shop, which currently I'm not selling.
So you used your one shameless plug on someone else's store. How nice.
I did. Absolutely. You know why? Because that man will support me to the ends of the earth. And any local fish store owner like that, I've got to stand behind.
Yeah, it's getting harder and harder to find a good LFS.
Yeah.
You know, we get to talk about LFS for a second. I went down south to a different city with Corey, and he was like, they have a root beer store here? And I was like, what? And so he took me to the store, and it's like this entire wall of root beers, and this is in like an expensive area, so I know like the lease is thousands, right? And I'm just thinking, like, if this guy can like have a store about root beer, why is it that fish stores are constantly closing down and going out of business?
Right. Well, since you've segued that far off, have you seen the cereal stores?
No, I haven't.
I don't know that we have any here in America. I would think that we have at least one, but I know in Europe I've seen they have stores where you can go in and they've got hundreds of different types of cereal, and you can buy, a bowl of cereal and try the different cereals.
Oh, like the cereal fast food shops. I have seen those. Yeah. Not anywhere here, but yeah. But yeah, I just and especially now, like, now that I have wholesale accounts and I know like how much it is to lease a place here and the logistics, and with social media, like none of these LFSs take advantage of social media. Man, it just blows my mind that they just close down like left and right, and then like a root beer store, and I was like, how long have you been open? And he's like, oh, years. And I'm just like, root beer? Like, I don't know.
I'll give props to my LFS again. They actually have a social media employee, so.
Merrick says, Steenfott Aquatics is the rainbow fish mafia going to go after me if I mix Praecox Pygmy with non-Pygmy and they breed. Are the Pygmy Praecox special for any other reason than locale? The only thing that you get out of Pygmy is the locale. They're some of the rainbow fish mafia will tell you they're better colored, but it's not because of the location. It's just because they're like a pure strain that hasn't been inbred to death yet by wholesalers. So normally, if like mine, if you buy a Pygmy on my site, they're usually like 3rd generation from wild caught fish, versus like 1,000th generation from a non-Pygmy from like a fish store. So I'll be honest, I've mixed them, but I don't plan on breeding them. But I had like 2 left, and I just threw them in my rainbow community tank with other rainbows, and some of them have, there's precox in there that are not locale specific. So, like I said, I would never breed those. But if you did mix them and you did breed them, then obviously you would just have to sell them as precox rainbows, not locale specific. So,
yep.
Anyways, that's my story.
And he's sticking to it.
Yep. Geek Boy says, I'm pretty spoiled here in the Denver area. We have quite a few stores to choose from. Yep. I got 0 to choose from. 0. I'm actually lucky. So Aquarium Co-op is like an hour away, but their warehouse is not very far away. So I can buy stuff and then just like message them and be like, can I pick this up? I don't want to drive all the way down to the store.
Just rub it in some more, why don't you?
Yeah. Yeah, I'm pretty lucky. But I was really sad when my one LFS store shut down, especially over the circumstances, and it really just pissed me off. And so yeah, anyways. He was a really cool guy, and yeah, it was nice having a place to take fish that you breed that's only like 2 minutes away.
Absolutely.
Stephen Tomlinson says, this time of year is perfect time for me to order fish, as South Texas isn't 100 plus degrees outside. But then it's too cold to order from most everywhere because it's freezing out. Yeah. I would, on a normal year, I would agree with you. But on this year, with all the USPS shortages, man, I think it's going to be rough no matter where you are.
I really think so. And of course, postage is only going to go up here in about a month. So
again, yeah, I like the. We were having a temporary postage price hike for the holiday season, and then we're gonna have a permanent postage hike in January. Like, come on.
What a gimmick.
Yeah, man, and it's run so poorly, it's ridiculous. But anyways, we can rant about that anytime. Mr. Fuzz says, I love rock Achilles. The only problem for me is that my LFS never has them. It's also a really good, or really hard to find a good source of clown killifish, but they are definitely one of the most colorful species in the hobby, I think. Imagine the mink stores. Mink? Are there stores that just sell mink? The Lion's Den says, I sketch out buying fish online. That's a local purchase for me. Yeah, I mean, there's some people that are really, really good at it. So, I think like even like 5 years ago, for me, it was really sketchy. But now, depending on who I buy them from, you know, I'm pretty confident. Mail machine, go burr. All right. Bunny Viper says, Steenfott Aquatics. Hey everyone, autos are not the easiest. Before you buy these, you need to let your tank grow to maturity before bringing them home. Lots of algae and mulm, then you must feed them. I don't know if someone was talking about autos, but I completely agree 100%.
I think that maybe came from the segue of difficult to keep fish, possibly.
Possibly. Yep. It's something that we didn't talk about in the last minute. I've already forgot about it. That's just how it works around here.
Right.
But absolutely agree. Like I think we actually talked about this last week too, possibly. Like I wait like 6 months before I'll put autos into a new tank. I wait a long time. Shannon says, I have 2 all-fish stores near me here in Pittsburgh. I also have several Petcos and PetSmart. Yeah, I definitely have my fair share. I've got like 3 Petcos in like a 5-mile radius. It's ridiculous. It's nice. It's nice for the $1 per gallon sales, but I don't know why there's so many. And I guess they need that many because it's not like they're shutting down anytime soon.
Right. Well, they need to do another 60 cent per gallon sale on the website.
I know, that was crazy. Curtis says, I still got 11 of the 13 Precocks that I got from Bob well over a year ago. Well, all right. You must have been one of my first orders. That's pretty awesome. Hey, Ginger Graves is here. Hello. Hi, fishy folks. Been lurking while cooking. Ooh, I'm kind of hungry. Doing the last of the water changes, then feeding all the fish. You do that the opposite of me. I feed and then water change.
I'd do the same.
I mean, not saying there's anything wrong with that.
No.
Colin Critters Cave. Colin, not Colin. Jeez. Just made my first online purchase from James, and everything went amazing. The fish are healthy, beautiful, and I can't thank Fish Room Fever enough.
I thank you.
Hearty heart heart. Bunny Viper says, yeah, that's a nice endorsement right there. Fishroomfever.com. Bunny Viper says, Bob, will you carry Denison barbs soon or at all? Only if I can get them for a decent price, and I have not found a decent price so far. The other issue is I haven't found them small enough. So when I'm shipping, the smaller the better for me. And so far, I've only been able to find larger ones through the wholesaler, which means they're more expensive, and they're going to be harder to ship just because they take up so much room. But if I could find like 1.5 inch, like 2-inch little juveniles, I would buy them and resell them. But I have not been that lucky yet. Anyone think crayfish aquariums will get popular? Some look pretty neat, but crayfish, too many are literal seafood to buy at a restaurant. I don't think so, because they're illegal in some states. Like, I can't have them here.
Exactly.
And so that's definitely going to hurt their popularity.
Yeah, and I'll be honest, if it weren't for the fact that too many people like piranhas for the wrong reasons, piranhas would not be nearly as popular as they are, because they're illegal just about everywhere. But they have a cool factor. As John says, they're cool before you have your first beer.
Yeah. Liam says, how do you sell fish in a small town? That is a great question. I don't know if you have a Facebook, but usually you can find like a local Facebook group that's like a local aquarium Facebook group. Maybe search for that. We've got a couple of them here. Granted, I'm not in I mean, my town is like 50,000 people, so it's not small. But the only other thing I could recommend is get good at shipping fish, because that might be your only outlet. Depending, I mean, if you say small town, you got like 2,000 people, you're gonna have to ship. Definitely. All right, I'd like to hear your answer on this one. Okay. Mr. Fish Sir says, how long can power be out before you need to worry about backup air or power?
So I will preface this with, I am an over-preparer, as we kind of discussed with transporting fish with the USB air pumps. That being said, I am set up to where if the power is out for more than an hour, I'll plug my USB air pump in, and so my filtration and my air is running in on my tanks. How long can they go? A lot of it is going to depend on the bio load, but you should be good for quite some time. Most of the time, your power is not going to be out long enough to impact. I know Mr. Fishler had messaged me earlier and was asking about 4 hours, and I was like, yeah, they'll be fine for 4 hours.
Yeah, I wouldn't worry about it.
Yeah, no, absolutely not. We touched a little bit on this earlier. Fish can handle a lot more than we give them credit for, I think, most of the time. I've done some different testing with fish just to see, how long can they safely stay in a bag, for shipping purposes and things like that. How long can they safely stay in this container in this amount of water? No filtration, no oxygen, no nothing. And the fish are a lot tougher than we give them credit for. Beneficial bacteria, you're usually going to be okay. And I know you had asked me that specifically earlier. I have heard of cases where people say, hey, my power was out for a few hours, it came back on, and stinky water came in from the hang-on back and everything died. But that's not the status quo. That's a very few and far between from what I've seen, heard, and experienced.
So I have been at this spot for, like 15 years probably. And the longest my power has been out is 20 hours. And I didn't even begin to worry about it.
Exactly.
But most of my tanks are very light in bioload, so I don't have a lot of unless something is spawned, I don't have a lot of fish in a lot of tanks. So it's not something I really have to worry about. The only thing that I would worry about is temperature, and it would have to be out for quite a bit of time, probably, I mean, well over a day for me. Granted, I have fish rooms, so they're starting out warm when the power goes out, so that
right.
Allows me a little bit more time. But as far as like oxygen in the tank, that's the last thing I'd be worried about. First would be temperature, because I've found fish like out in my garage in tanks that I thought were tore down for like months. I found like one Episto outside in a 5-gallon bucket that I was using for water changes, and like a couple months later, I went to use this bucket again. I don't know what it was eating. I don't know how it stayed alive, but it's cold in the garage, no filtration, no air, and it was still alive. So.
Absolutely. And see, I don't go to temperature because I've got the fireplace. So
I wish I had a fireplace.
And when it's not cold, I'm not worried about temperature whatsoever, because we've got, generally a moderate climate here. But the only time I would worry about temp is in the wintertime, and I know I can just kick on the fireplace, throw some wood in there and be good to go.
Yeah, and Ginger brings up a good point. She says, what I found is that it depends on the fish. She had a 20 long with 8 Quarries, paradise fish, and 6 horseface loaches. Lost all the loaches, whereas Quarries will breathe from the surface. Same with paradise fish. So, I mean, yeah, if you have, those type of fish, then you can really go a long time.
Absolutely.
Carolyn says, my power was out for 4 days in California. I used an USB air pump. It worked out well. And I exchanged it for a bit of water, or I exchanged a bit of water a couple times. Thankfully, it was summer. Yeah, that's the other thing people don't think about, and I don't have one here, but you can get those backup battery power bricks for like $20.
Yep.
Get the USB Airstone from Aquarium Co-op for $8, and just hook it up to your sponge filter. It'll run it for days. Well, depending on the size of your pump, but yeah. That's probably like the easiest thing you could do as far as backup. Just a little cell phone charger with the USB air pump.
Highly recommend.
Let's see. There was one question I wanted to get to. Bunny Viper says, what would be a decent price for customers on those Denison barbs? I have no idea what they cost, but I absolutely will be buying them. One of my favorites. So yeah, they're one of my favorite fish, and honestly, it's cheaper for me to buy them from PetSmart when they go on sale than it is to buy them from my wholesaler. PetSmart, they go on sale sometimes for like $4, and that's considerably cheaper than my wholesale price. Now, I don't get the best deals, to be honest, but still, yeah, all my Denison barbs have come from Petco or PetSmart when they're on sale. So from like a local fish store, I mean, I've seen them like $15, $20 depending on the size. So, yeah. I don't know how much they go where you're at, but
I haven't even looked at them, honestly.
Here, they're pretty spendy. Liam says, what would be a decent price on Pygmy Quarries? Like $2, $3. A couple bucks. If you're buying online, you're probably going to pay maybe a little bit more because a little more goes into it, but yeah. Changing water in the dead of winter with no power heat must be difficult. Like a lot of people, if they have like a gas stove, they'll heat up water and do it that way. But yeah. I've heard of this. Record for a killie staying out of water is 66 days. They often find in woods when having jumped from small puddles to another, but always in humid air, so not dried out. Yeah, I mean, and Bristlenose Plecos are the same way. If you just put one on your desk and spray it with water and it was warm enough, it would live there for as long as you're feeding it, probably forever. Because they do breathe oxygen.
Yeah. I've not tried that, and I don't intend to.
No, I'm not. We don't need anyone to do that for scientific purposes. No. That'd be a terrible way to get yourself in the Guinness Book of Records.
I will say that I have come up with what I call the courtesy float. Anytime I find a fish that has jumped out of the tank, I give it a couple minutes courtesy float just to make sure, because I did have a Pleco one time. I don't know if another fish scared it and it jumped out or what happened, but I had a fairly large Pleco get out on the floor. I thought it was dried out, dead and gone, and it turned out it was not. So I now have the courtesy float. in the event that I do find something, just to make sure.
Yep.
I've been wrong.
I've got my horror story of coming home from an auction, a fish club meeting. It was like midnight, and I got some killifish, Gardneri, male and female. I put them in a Fluval Spec 5. Just it was the only tank I had available, and that's in my bathroom, which is also my laundry room. And sure enough, I just put him in there, acclimated him, and went to bed. I mean, I was so tired. And then I woke up in the middle of the night, had to go to the bathroom, and I look in there, and the male's not there anywhere. And I'm like, ugh. So I start looking around. You know, there's not a lot of stuff. I'm like, the only place it could have gone is like under the washer dryer. So I look up. Sure enough, there it is. And it's like just covered in lint and dog hair because I don't clean under there. Who does?
Right.
And so I'm just like so pissed because it was such. Of course, it was the male. Just a beautiful fish. And I was upset, and I just tossed it in the toilet. Like, I wouldn't advise doing that. Right. And then it started swimming around. Yeah. I was like, oh man. At that point, I went into like I was in such shock, and then I had to make sure that it didn't go up, you know, and out the pipe. And I was able to save it though. I got like a little shrimp net, and it took a long time, but I finally got it, and it lived, and I had it for like 2 years. And yeah, that was probably like 5-6 years ago at this point. So yeah, one of the dumber things I've ever done. So yeah, I always give it the courtesy float now too, every time. Everything, even if it's like dried up and there's like the eyeballs are gone, and okay, maybe not that extreme, but Kay Walker says, hey, forget for Bob, what eats trumpet snails other than puffers? Can't believe you forgot your sleeping bag for winter camping. That is true, I did. Assassin snails, or my favorite is dwarf chain loaches. I think that is one of the most coolest fish ever, especially when you get a lot of them.
I can't disagree with that.
Yeah. So I will say, I have my plastic bin for camping that my old sleeping bag was in. I got my new sleeping bag in, so I took that out. My new sleeping bag is way bigger and it didn't fit, and so I filled up my bin with other stuff and set my bag aside. And then when Jimmy got here, I just picked up my bin and threw it in, and not even thinking because I'm so used to it being in there. Right. And so then I'm like, and it was like a half hour after we left. We could have easily turned around, but we also had to catch a ferry, so we couldn't. So any other camping trip, we could have just turned around. We weren't that far away. But this time it's like, if we missed the ferry, there's not going to be another one for like 4 hours. So I'm like, nope, keep going. And it's like, we passed like multiple outdoor stores where I could have just bought one. But again, it's like, I do not want to miss this ferry because that's going to ruin the whole trip.
I don't blame you.
All right. I've been completely ignoring chat. Anything in here you see?
I've got one right ahead of me. Crunto Half Moon asking, newbie to Bristlenose Pleco, how old do they need to be before breeding? Is there a rule for number of male and female in the tank? So I have found with the Bristlenose Plecos, you want to give them a couple months. It's one of those that, as with a lot of fish, you want to go off of age, not size. Often people get, they misconstrue that, because I grow it faster, it's going to mature quicker, but that's not the case. The size doesn't really have anything to do with it. Give it a few months, 6 months, and you're definitely good. At least what I've found anyways. In terms of the male to female ratio, this is an interesting one because I actually like the reverse trios. As opposed to a lot of things where you either just have a pair or a trio. You want to go with a reverse trio on there. And the reason for that, and for anybody that does not know, a reverse trio would be 2 males and a female. The male bristlenose will guard the eggs in the cave and can sometimes be overwhelmed by the female wanting to spawn back to back. And oftentimes the male doesn't eat while he's guarding the eggs. So if you have a 1-to-1 ratio, especially 2 females to 1 male, they can actually starve themselves out, protecting the babies, protecting the eggs, spawn after spawn after spawn.
Correct. Yeah. So when I was breeding super reds, it was always 2 males to 1 female, just for that, to give them all a break.
Yeah, because she can go back and forth between the two, because that one will be outside dancing outside his cave, trying to entice her in while the other one's inside the cave on the first clutch of eggs.
Mr. Fish Sir says, Bob, do you have a camp stove? Nope, I cook on fire only. And if I don't have a fire, then I'm not cooking. Very specific. No stoves for me.
There you go.
Shannon, my LFS are not cheap. I understand they need to make a buck, but man, they like to jack up the price. Yeah, and it's not always their fault. Like, it's not, and I get it. Like, there's definitely a fair share of them that are price gouging for sure. So, but also a lot of these places, it depends on how much they spend on how much they pay for the fish. So, like a larger fish store that's able to buy 100 of a fish gets them for way cheaper than a store that can only buy like 24 or 30. So there is some of that to take into account, but yeah, I feel like some places definitely do hike up the price quite a bit.
Absolutely.
And the other thing to think about too is like when I'm watching like store tours and videos, sometimes I'm like, that fish is only that much, and then sometimes I'm like, holy cow, that fish is that much. And so obviously depends on like what the rent prices are too in that specific places, but yeah, sometimes some of these LFSs, they do get a little greedy, can't lie.
They do. And another thing could be like Lionsden mentioned, LFS charges $5 a cardinal tetra, so pricey. Where are they having to get the cardinal tetras from? Chances are it's a lot cheaper if you're an hour from a distributor or wholesaler than if you're a day away from the nearest wholesaler for those.
Yeah, and a lot of it is like if you go to Aquarium Co-op, the fish are going to be a little bit more because they quarantine.
Yep.
So they're spending money on meds and everything. So, maybe they're doing that. I don't know. I don't see many fish stores quarantining, but
no.
Candy says to become a member. There is my member link if you want member stuff, I guess. My LFS makes you spend more because it quarantines his fish. Oh, there you go. As far as my local fish stores, and I mean not really local, but anything within like a 3-hour radius for me, we only have Aquarium Co-op that quarantines. What's the good of camping without a fire? Yeah, I don't know that I could ever camp without a fire. That's the whole point of going camping, is a campfire, for sure. The smaller stores don't have big margins. Well, some smaller stores have lots of big margins when they're overcharging for fish.
They do.
Crown Tail Half Moon says, at Fish Room Fever, thank you both for sharing. How often would one female breeding between two males... wait, is this the one we just answered?
It is not. I was just replying to it in the chat, but I will go ahead and answer it since you have brought it up. Someone said, no, Crown Tail Half Moon, thank you. I have found, so in my best setups, I'll put it that way, I've actually gone back down to a 1-in-1 because I'm getting the best breeding out of having one male, one female. But I've found that I can get eggs almost back to back in terms of maybe every 10 days. I feed a lot of high protein foods, a lot of meaty foods, bloodworms, brine shrimp, use extreme cat scrapers amongst other things, feed lots of green beans. So really the biggest thing is getting them the nutrients required for egg production, and then letting them kind of do their thing. But realistically, there's several times that I've seen 3 spawns in a month out of just a pair, not even a trio.
Well, there you
and
go.
Then on the caves, I was just say I'd recommend the individual caves, and this will be a shameless plug. I've got a video, My Secret to Breeding Plecos. Those are the ones that I use and recommend. They're cheap. They're just plant watering spikes.
Mm-hmm. Even I got a video on those.
Yeah.
Everyone should know about those things.
Yeah, everyone should know about those things. I don't recommend the multi-stories specifically for bristlenose because of territorial issues, which someone else had asked about. If you're going to have 2 males and you've got one of the little towers there, I found that they can get territorial because those are so close together versus having caves at separate areas. They can have their territory. They don't need to bother each other.
Anyone have an LFS that's kind of shady? Oh, yeah. I have one that I don't go to most of the time. There's one in Seattle that has like illegal fish all the time. Of course, it's in the. Gosh, where is it? I don't remember, but it's in Seattle somewhere. And oh yeah, always illegal fish there. Always just weird things going on. It's interesting, and of course, you know, it looks like it was built in like the 70s and. I'm lucky. My LFS is cheap and quarantines. Also, his plants are dirt cheap. $7 for a 2-foot sword. Well, the nice thing is sword plants are really cheap for just about anyone. So those are really good plants to buy cheap. If you're looking for a plant to buy cheap and fill up your tank, make it look full, those are it, definitely. Bob, do you have any experience with Dutch Shepherds? I have one since 8 weeks old. He's 9+ years now. Super smart, kind of intense. He's my boy. No, I've definitely read about them. I've never, you know, I have no personal experience, just from what I've seen and watched and read online. But I don't think I'll ever be able to get every single type of dog I want before I die. Seattle as a whole is sketchy. Oh, yeah, for sure. I mean, everything in Seattle is sketchy. That place, I avoid it like the plague. Hey, what are you doing? What are you doing? Pet store may be a good money launderer, hard to track livestock losses. Nah, it's the gyms. You got to open a gym if you want to launder money. That's by far the best thing ever. You just make up your client list, however many clients you have, to however much money you need to launder.
Oh Lord, it sounds like you've done this a time or two.
Hey, I'm just saying. What, like, only 20% of the people that are signed up for a gym actually go, so they have no way of verifying. So like they could come in and the gym is empty. Well, yeah, but nobody goes to the gym. They just pay for the membership. Haven't you ever seen that episode of Friends where they try to cancel their gym membership?
Yeah.
Every time they sign up for more. So funny. Tim says Fish Room Fever, 15 out of 18 bristle noses and a 125. Okay, heavily planted. 15 out of 20. 15 out of 18.
15 to 18, I think, is what he's going for. 15 to 18 bristle nose and a heavily planted 125.
I'd do it easily.
You're probably going to be fine. I say probably only because I have seen one time where I had one male that was just really a jerk, and that can happen with any type of fish. And he wanted to chase down and beat up another male and just decided he didn't want his cave anymore. He wanted to take everybody else's caves. But in theory, you should be perfectly fine. A lot of people that breed bristlenose, they've got, you know, just piles of them in tanks. And you see them bare bottom, oftentimes no caves even where they're breeding them, specifically for selling them. And there's just piles of bristlenose and vegetable matter and no caves, no nothing, and everything's fine. So yeah, you should be good to go. Just watch if you do get a nice big dominant male at some point. You know, they can go rogue, but any fish can kind of lose its mind sometimes and beat other ones up.
Yeah, I had way more than that in a 55 gallon when I was breeding. Yeah. So now it's gonna be, I don't know, like if you're keeping him at 125 to breed or if this is some kind of show tank, but you can get overrun pretty fast if you're not careful. So just keep that in mind.
Tim has got an awesome planet tank that he's set up. I've seen some pictures of it. It's not a breeding setup so much as it is just a really nice quality scaped, dirted capped tank.
Yeah. When you hear the USB, you know you're on the right stream. Yep. Anyone who's listening knows what that comment means. Amphibious Aquatics. I have a super shady LFS and they carry illegal fish, reptiles, and birds. Always have ick, tons of dead fish, but I'm forced to go there for my rare fish because they're illegal and I can't get them anywhere. No, I'm just kidding. Because they can get anything. Yeah, we used to have a store that would get illegal reptiles. This was like 20, 30 years ago, and I loved going there. They actually took good care of them, so it wasn't like it's shady because they're illegal, but still. Xanadu says rescue fund donation. Thanks for the content and the info. Thank you so much for the $5 super chat. I really do appreciate it. And it looks like I got one more run to do. I tried to go to the dollar store. Everyone was telling me to go to the dollar store, And so I went to Dollar Tree, and everything, all their pet supplies were just trash. So they have some good stuff on the website, but then when I went to the store, they had nothing that was on the website was in the store.
Right.
Of course.
The way it works.
Levi's Outdoor Aquatics says, should I be concerned about putting a 55 on a second floor? I mean, if your house was built in like the 1800s, maybe. If you're putting it in the middle of a room, maybe. But if you're putting it next to a wall, probably not.
Probably not. So there's the legal disclaimer, check your structural integrity first. That being said, once again, I'm in a mobile home, which is, obviously off the ground. Previous home I was in, all my tanks were technically on the second floor because it had the built-in finished, basement, but it was on a hill. So you walked in ground level and it was actually second floor. And I had, a 220, several 125s, 175s, lots of 55s. I mean, this was back when I was doing monster tanks, monster fish. So anything under a 125 was pretty much too small for me. I had almost 3,000 gallons. So it can be done, just for legal and safety purposes. Check your structural integrity.
And don't blame me if your house implodes on itself.
Exactly. We got the disclaimer out there.
Yeah. I mean, I would try it, but like I would definitely, if you're jumping up and down and the floor is moving, I probably wouldn't do it. Regina Phalange says, I got some awesome advice on your stream, like your new last name. About keeping live blackworms. Thanks, Danny. Oh, he's talking about Danny's stream. Well, shoot. My LFS sells fishing supplies along with their fish. That's interesting. All right. I don't think I've ever seen that before, but that's kind of funny. Craig says, can you imagine KG Tropicals going camping? Are we live? Can you hear me? My God, is that tree going to fall on me? If it snows, will we get home? I think it would be interesting. Every time I've talked to him, he's like, why would you ever want to go out in the woods? So it would be interesting. I think it would be fun, though. Thanks, guys. I hope my house doesn't implode. Yeah, me too, buddy. T-Shot says, Steenfott Aquatics, now that I've played with the orange flash Epistos, what kind of Pistos do you recommend I try next? If you can get Epistogramma benchi, Epistogramma borellii, those are both usually pretty popular fish. And I know the benchi, or it's called the Inca 50, INKA 50, is my absolute favorite Episto. So if you could breed those and ship me some, I'd really appreciate it. Also, I should announce this at the beginning of the stream, but I'm also looking for a friend for just some multis, just some regular old multi-shell dwellers. So if anybody local in Washington has an abundance of multis and have some to get rid of, let me know. We'll take some off your hands. Matt says, Hey, that was gross. I just got a Bozeman rainbow fish. Do they need to be in groups? Yes, they are a schooling fish. A guy at the store said no need. Terrible advice. I'm thinking about getting white clouds or something. Oh, wait. That was a completely different comment. Anyways, yes, you absolutely need rainbows to be in school. They are a community fish. They love hanging out in groups. So, yeah. Will it live by itself? Yes, but it will be miserable. So I would try to get it at least 2 more, but usually I don't try to keep them in anything less than schools of 6. Schools of 6.
There you go.
Shell Dweller is a colony of German blue rams and some fancy plecos. All right, that must be on the list for next year, or I just missed something. Trey says, I want Inca 50 so bad. Yes, me too. Me too. Bob, how loud does your house have to be? Reminds me of something I see in the 80s. Play those speakers long enough, you'd be deaf. I don't get it.
Referencing your background.
There is a lot. When you have 3 giant dogs, there's a lot of stuff going on in the background.
Well, I just meant all the speaker boxes behind you on
your screen. Yep. on my custom studio here.
Your custom studio, excuse me. Yes.
Yep. It's very loud. We're pumping like 180 decibels in this room. Yep. Impulse bought some green swordtails. I just fell in love with their spangling. The green swordtails, I've kept them, and man, were they nasty. They were just, of all the swordtails I've kept, and I've only kept 2, the greens were just hyper aggressive, super aggressive. Impulse bought. Oh, I just got that one. Your background, shelter drive. I think that's gonna do it. We have hit the 2-hour mark. All right, we'll end it with this. If you could only keep one fish tank setup, what would it be and why? You go first.
Okay, so I'm going to take that as keeping it exactly how it sits. Everything else gets moved out of the house. I'm keeping my zebra pleco setup. Not just because it's zebra plecos, but it's also got my blue dream shrimp. And on top of that, it's built in with 10 gallons plumbed into the same system that currently house several very nice strains of guppies and endlers. So if I could only keep one rack / tank / because a lot of mine are not individual tanks, it's racks. So if I could keep one, that would be it. My zebra pleco tower, as I call it.
For me, it would be my 125 planted with rainbows, Corydoras, and Pistos. The ultimate combo for me.
Nice.
I keep checking my phone when I hear Bob's USB. I know, I just troll people with that USB sound. It's so funny. But all right, guys, I want to thank everyone for showing up. Thank the mods. We got quite a few people to thank here. Go to the top. Furlough's Aquatic Chat, Tanuga Ed, Mike's Aquatics Things, John James, Fish Tank Barn, Regina Phalange, Furlough's Aquatics, Kelly, Colin, Malta Hijacker, Bob Kaler, Rach, KG, Cichlids. Did I get that one? I might have missed that one. Oh, well, it's just Kevin. Mary Page Flynn, The Lion's Den, Rach again, Christine, UPS are living the dream, SC Aquatics, Lisa KG Tropicals with the $50 donation to the shelter. Thank you, Lisa. I appreciate it. Well, thank you, John. Michael Faulkner, Xana and Tim Carter coming in at the last minute there with the $1 super chat. And I want to thank everyone who showed up, everyone who came over from Corey's live stream, and I want to thank you, James, for coming on with me. It's always funner with a guest, so I appreciate it.
Glad to do it anytime. I appreciate you having me on.
And you're gonna plug your channel, Fish Room Fever on YouTube.
Yep, Fish Room Fever on YouTube.com. It's Fish Room Fever everywhere you look.
Everywhere you look. Yep. All right, everyone. We'll see you next week. Oh wait. When do you stream? Let's. When are we gonna see you next? Every day?
You will next see me. No, not anymore. You will next see me Thursday night after KG Tropicals. KG Tropicals does a pretty decent show. I recommend you check them out and then come visit me. We roll all the way through the night with various streamers, but that's when you'll see me next. Thursday night, 10:30 Eastern time.
All right, that's going to do it. See everyone next week.